Hey guys, this is Matt Core from Ctrl+Paint.com, and today we're going to talk about taking ownership of your software. So I'm using Photoshop as an example, but you could apply the same idea to any software that you're using. And the idea is, it's yours. Get cozy. Everything is customizable. You can move panels around, you can resize things, you can turn things on, turn things off, and you should. By default, I think Photoshop is kind of overwhelming. This painting workspace, for instance, this is what Adobe recommends you use. Well, for me, this feels all wrong. So instead, I've made my own. And with these workspaces in Photoshop, it's very easy to just switch between different saved layouts. And it's worth mentioning that none of this is permanent. Any of these changes you make can be rolled back to the default settings very easily. But think of it as a car or as an instrument. If you sat down in a car, the first thing you do is adjust the mirrors, you adjust the seat distance, the steering wheel. It has to fit you if you're going to drive it properly. Well, graphic software is exactly the same. You have to get comfortable in order to use it to its fullest. Now, one of the questions I get all the time about my videos is, why are my brushes not behaving properly? And I think this actually brings up a really important issue that a lot of beginners struggle with. Photoshop's default brushes aren't very good. They're okay, but you could do better. So the very first thing I would do if you're just starting out in Photoshop is to go to the brush tool, right click, and then here in the preset manager, you can just take a look at all of your brushes. You can also delete them. And if you have the default brushes, delete all of them. To make your paint blend like it does in my videos, just start by downloading my basic 3 brushes. They're simple, versatile, and pretty much the brushes I use in all of my videos. After that, you're going to start making your own brushes and filling this out, and you're going to end up with a very custom tailored experience. Adobe's only so good at guessing at what you want to do, so make your own. And then there's a lot of just little usability things that can make your life so much more pleasant. For instance, the default behavior of the eyedropper tool in recent versions is this show sampling ring option. So now when I'm using the brush tool and I want to switch my color, I hold down Alt. Look at that ugly thing. It's a big circle, it's got colors in it. That is extremely distracting. We don't want that. Why would I ever want to use this while painting? I understand what its purpose is, not so useful for me. No problem. So I go to the eyedropper tool and I uncheck the show sampling ring button, and now it is gone forever. I'm sampling colors all over the place and it is nice and clean. But it doesn't stop there. If you open the preference menu, in all of these sub lists, there are lots of little checkboxes. I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but it is worth digging in through here and making changes. The fact is, Photoshop was not designed for digital painting. It was designed for photographers and graphic designers. And with that in mind, it works really well for them and not as obviously well for us. But if you get in here and tweak some settings, it's going to feel a lot better. And there's a lot of functionality that's totally up to your preference, but that Photoshop is not going to be able to guess very well at. One thing is I love using adjustment layers. So here, if I were to make a new adjustment layer, we use levels as an example, it opens up my adjustment panel. This is the same thing as closing or showing the panel by clicking on the icon, and that's because I have it normally hidden. Well, I can modify it however I want, and then when I'm happy with it, I'll move over here. And as soon as I clicked on my document, it automatically hid the panel. I can open it back up if I want to, but it was just one fewer click. And I can't tell you what a big deal this makes. The default behavior is that it stays visible. So I can make my changes and then I go back to the document and this window stays open. But what I want is to focus on my painting. I want the interface to be as hidden as possible. So that little checkbox makes a big deal for the way I work. I might be doing 100 adjustment layers throughout the day and making little tweaks, but I want to get back to the painting. So if I don't have to think about closing things in order to free up my clean workspace, it's just easier. And on that note, if you hit the tab key, you can hide everything. So here I'm able to paint and use all the normal tools. I just don't have to look at any of this menu around here. That's pretty nice. And if I want it back, I can hit the tab key again. So one school of thought you might consider is to have lots of expanded menu all the time, but then hide it. So you're doing all of your painting here, whatever the painting might be, and then when you want to change something or make a new layer, you could show your menus again, make a few changes, hide them, and then get back to work. Especially if you're working on a small monitor, this might be a great solution because you want to dedicate all of that space to usable painting space, not just little menu clutter. Who wants this anyway? So the bottom line is there's a lot of ways to customize this software, but you have to be the one to take advantage. Too many artists out there are using the defaults for everything, and as a result, the software feels kind of cold and sterile. Make it your own. Get cozy. You'll be really happy you did. Thanks for coming to the site, guys.